Do your knees ache after squatting? Do they stiffen up the next day like if you're 80 years old? You've tried sleeves, foam rolling, and just pushing and grinding through, but nothing seems to work? Hi, my name is Armando Cruz. I'm a performance physical therapist and the creator of the Knee Armor System. And today I want to break down the 5 biggest mistakes athletes make when trying to eliminate knee pain and what to do instead. In fact, if you stick around till the end, I'm going to share with you my 3-step framework I use with my clients to go from I can't squat to I PR'd without pain. Mistake number 1. You're chasing the pain, not the problem. Let me tell you about Chris. See, Chris was a competitive CrossFitter. He's got a strong engine, strong mindset, but every time he hit high volume squat cycles, his knees lit up. He did what most people do. He iced, he took fish oil, wore sleeves, and hoped it would all go away. The problem is his knees weren't the issue. In fact, he had done zero ankle mobility, so every time he squatted, his knees shot forward and his heels started lifting. His knees were getting crushed because of poor mechanics. Once we mobilized the ankles and cleaned up his footwork, all of a sudden the pain disappeared without ever touching the knees. And I think the biggest takeaway here is where it hurt isn't where the problem is. In fact, I would say your knees aren't the problem. More than likely, it's something else. So the knees are just the thing that brings to light dysfunction somewhere else. Mistake number 2, you only fix it when it hurts. I had a client named Sarah. She crushed workouts, then spent 20 minutes after her workout smashing her quads with a foam roller. And every time the pain flared up, she treated it like it was like a car project. Every time it faded, she forgot about it, and until the next time that it flared up. And it was this vicious cycle that it would be like she trained hard, it would flare up, she would do something about it, then she would forget about it for a while until it flared up again. What finally broke this pattern was we built a weekly routine that was less than 10 minutes where she started working on some glute activation, ankle mobility, step down control work, and she stuck with it even when she felt fine. Within weeks, no pain, no setbacks, and more importantly, she can now squat and push her body without pain. Pain is not a phase, it's feedback. And if you want to stay out of pain, you can't stop once the symptoms stop. Mistake number 3. You train harder but move the same. This one hit home for a lot of CrossFitters. I want to introduce you to Dave. See, Dave, ex-military, super high pain tolerance, never skips a WOD. And in fact, his knees were fine until they weren't. So let's take, for instance, Murph. He did the run, no problem. He crushed the pull-ups, he crushed the push-ups. But when it got to the squats and he was halfway through that, all of a sudden his hips started collapsing. Now, most of us, his coaches didn't really pick up on it. He didn't really pick up on it until the next day. The next day, his patella tendon was on fire. When he did that, the second mile after that, he was like hobbling through that. And when we go back and we reviewed some of the footage from the gym, it was crystal clear. His technique was breaking down. It was great when he was fresh, but as he fatigued, it started falling apart. So what did we do? We actually peeled back the layers. Like, what's actually going on? He can squat. He can do everything. But fatigue here really started creating a dysfunction. And so what did we do? We dialed things back and trained slow tempo stuff. Pause squats, added some single leg drills. We rebuilt his nervous system from low fatigue and built it up so he can gradually improve to higher fatigue settings. Today, he has no knee pain. He's able to finish Murph with no problems, zero fallout. The next day, he was fine. He was back training as if nothing happened. See, your form under fatigue is very different than your form fresh. So you need to train it and earn the right to go hard. Mistake number 4, skipping mobility and stability. Now, athletes love the big lifts, the flashy stuff, going hard, going fast, but no one wants to do the monster walks, the total knee extensions, the mobility work. I work with a guy named Lewis, a firefighter, dad of two, super strong guy, but he couldn't get through a week of training without his knees flaring up. The issue? His glutes were asleep. His quads were just taking over, and his ankle range was so limited, he couldn't even hit the depth without folding in his knees. Now, again, I share these examples because too often we think the knee is the problem. And unless you got hit by a car or there was some direct trauma, very often, like I've mentioned before, the knee is just a signal that something either above or below is not working. And so for Lewis, we couldn't even have him lift for 2 weeks because he was so flared up. And so what we ended up working on were his ankle dorsiflexion drills, mobilizing his ankles, improving his hip mobility and creating more stability, getting the glutes to refire. When you have dysfunction for so long, one of the ones that really shut off are the glutes. And that's exactly what happened with Lewis. We had to reteach his glutes to fire and stabilize as a primary mover as opposed to just a quick finisher. And on top of that, we added a few other things from torsional release, being able to expand his ribs so he gets more neurological activation. And so 2 weeks in, he tells me, man, I actually feel my glutes working again. I feel so much more stable. 4 weeks later, he PR'd in a front squat and he was pain-free. So foundational work is not optional. They are everything if you want to move powerfully and pain-free. Mistake number 5, you don't have a system. Random does not work. Now, this is for everything, not just rehab, it is for training as well. If you look at the top performers at CrossFit or in any athlete, they're not just doing whatever they feel like every single day. There is a system, there is a progression. And the same thing goes for one of my clients, Jenna. She was trying everything. Her knee was hurting, so one day she'd look up some YouTube drills. Another day she'd go on Instagram and she'd be doing some kind of mobility flow. Then she started asking everyone in the gym, hey, what's your advice when your knee hurts? One day she was foam rolling, the next day she was using voodoo bands. Nothing stuck, nothing worked. What she needed wasn't more options. She needed direction and a system. She needed a clear map to follow. Like, start here, do this, progress like this. And that's what the knee armor system gives you. In fact, it's the same framework that I used with my clients like Chris, Sarah, Dave, Lewis, Jenna. It's a structure that helps guide you. You don't have to think about anything. It adapts to where you are right now. It's designed for athletes who want to train hard, train long, but train so that they do not have pain. In other words, they don't want to think of pain and be restricted by it. They want to perform at the highest level. So what's the path forward? You don't have to live with knee pain. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that I see every time I'm in the CrossFit gym is the amount of people that just grind it out and they think, oh, that's just the way my knees are. That's just the way my shoulders are, my hips, my back. You don't have to do that. And you don't have to live in a world where you have to modify every leg day. You don't have to dread box jumps. You don't have to reduce your squat cycle. You just need to stop guessing. Start following a proven plan. A proven plan is exactly what all the top athletes do with their training. Why wouldn't you do the same thing if you want to be top-notch at healing, top-notch at recovering, top-notch at eliminating pain? And so if you want access to a plan, to clarity, to direction, to support, the knee armor system is exactly that. It's simple. It's a powerful system that fixes the root cause of the pain and builds fatigue-resistant strength. You'll get the pain protocol. What is that? The pain protocol is designed so that if you're currently in pain, that's what you focus on until you get out of pain. Once that's done, you go on to the next protocol, which is the maintenance protocol. That maintenance protocol is designed to keep your knees healthy and strong in investing the least amount of time. And then comes the performance protocol. Now, in the performance protocol, it's interesting because, like, if you're the type of person that you're just like, hey, I just want to show up to the gym, do whatever the WOD is, and that's it. Maintenance protocol, once you're there, should keep you there. You should be fine. But now, if you want to say, hey, I want to compete at the highest level, I want to see if I can PR on a squat, a deadlift, a whatever lift, a clean and jerk. Now, the performance protocol helps you take from baseline to shooting up and performing at a much higher level. That performance protocol is designed to take you through a triphasic approach where we're addressing the concentric, the eccentric, and the isometric strength patterns and building them up so that your knee is covered from head to toe. It's a step-by-step guide that works inside your current training plan. So it's not like you have to stop your current training plan, but it's accessory to it. So if that is something that you're interested, make sure you click the link in the description. I'm going to have it posted, or what is it called? Pinned on the first comment. If it's something that interests you, you can go there. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. If you haven't already done so, like and subscribe this video. It helps out with the algorithm. I'd love to continue to provide more and more content to help you go from pain to freedom. And if you haven't already done so, check out these videos up here, playlist, and the next video, especially if pain has been something that's been plaguing you. I'm sure it will help. Until I see you on the next one, I've been Armando Cruz. Take care.